Hi. So we were learning about how there was conflict between the big states and the small states. Like there were like a lot of problems because they wanted like more representatives, and like the small states wanted not a lot of representatives because they didn't have much people, and they wanted the same amount of representatives, which is actually kind of fair because they're smaller. And the bigger states, I think they should get more because that wouldn't be really fair for the small states. And the bigger states think they should get more, and I disagree with them. What do you think?
Well, I think the framers were trying to think win-win between the big states and the small states because they're trying to make it fair for the big states, but make it fair for the small states. Because the big states want more representatives because they have more people going on, so they want more votes to beat the small states. But the small states wanted, since they were smaller, they would only have like one representative. So their votes would be like they would lose to the big states.
Yeah. So I like what you said, and I have to add on to something. There was also another major problem in there. They couldn't vote about voting rights. And so they could never vote until they decided about that representative thing, because they can't vote for the representatives. Because the bigger states also thought they should get more votes, just like you were talking about the representatives, like what the big states wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And also, most of the arguments that they said were both right, so no one was really wrong. They're both pretty fair, but the framers had to come up with an idea that was both right, and it was good of them. They're very smart to think of that. That's a very good idea. And there was a lot of conflict, and like there was a room of representatives, and they were all so frustrated. Like they were all really angry at each other. They didn't really like each other, and yeah, they were pretty angry. So, do you have anything to say about it?
But they finally agreed on something of it. They finally agreed on something called the Great Compromise,
Yeah.
where they made women. So they let the Congress would have two parts, the Senate and the House of Representatives. And the small states, each state, large or small, would have two representatives in the Senate, which is for the small states, because they would have more people in the. They would have more because there's more small states, so they had more people than the big people. But in the House of Representatives, it would say how one representative would represent 30,000 people.
Yeah, and it's amazing that like things that we think of so obvious today, like the Senate and the House of Representatives, all these things are so obvious to us right now. But back then, they were just brand new and like an incredibly amazing idea. Like the Great Compromise, like they came up with the Senate and the House of Representatives. The framers came up with those names that we thought that we would have named anything. Like we think they're obvious right now, but you don't know how they came up with them. Like the framers came up with like a really win-win situation. So that's one of the 7 habits that they were following. And another 7 habit that the framers were following was begin with the end in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they were like planning out. There was one guy who would like plan out like one problem, the others would plan out other problems, and they were really working through. So, do you have anything to say about any other 7 habits?
Like maybe think they were doing, well, some of the delegates at the Philadelphia Convention tried to settle out their differences between the other delegates, like Ben Franklin, they tried to settle the differences if they were like didn't agree on something. He would try to make them both happy.
And anyway, the delegates, they really wanted to fix up the Articles of Confederation, right?
Yeah.
But that was one main problem. But they also focused on a lot of other main problems, like this problem. This one was probably the mainest problem because if they didn't really settle this problem, then everyone would be just a separate state. In the way that we are right now, it wouldn't be like all like a separate union. We would just be starving and poor and everything.
We wouldn't be the United States of America. We would just be the free states,
Yeah.
like our own country.
Yeah, and the delegates, there are 3 important delegates, and I'd like to name them. So, there was George Washington, there was James Madison, also known as the father of the Constitution, and then there was Benjamin Franklin. So, anyways, they were all very important delegates, and yeah, they really wanted to like fix some stuff. They really want to like fix it up because they are very important and patient, and I have a special 7 habit for them. It's first to understand, then to be understood, because they would really listen, especially Benjamin Franklin. He was the most important of this. He would very much act first to understand, then to be understood. They would always make sure that everyone was heard.
Even though he started a different system, he was like 81 and he still went to Philadelphia Convention.
Yeah, so is that it?
Yep.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.